Hey, what's up, comic book fans? Invincible episode 5 Battle Beast. Oh my gosh, that's all I have to say. Battle Beast. Let's do it. So, episode 5 of Invincible. Spoilers towards the end of the video. So, right now, just general thoughts, of what I did. It was amazing. It was an amazing episode. I don't know why I'm trying to hide it. Invincible has been really good so far. This fifth episode was just above and beyond. I honestly feel that way. It was so far is my favorite episode. So much good, so much character development, so much world building, and then that final 15 minutes or so is just so crazy good. I was so surprised. I could not believe it. I was like, oh my gosh, I was not expecting it to be this good. But it's Invincible. It's damn good. If you haven't watched it, watch it. If you haven't watched this episode yet, go. Don't get spoiled or anything. It's an amazing episode. Like I've said, it's a really good episode. We get some really good character development for Mark. Debbie's always great. Debbie's a win. Debbie's always a win. And Eve and Amber. So this episode follows this super villain or villain, or whatever you really want to call him, called Titan. We saw him, I believe, in the first or second episode where Invincible fought him. He's the guy who turns to stone or can, build stone around his body. And Invincible beats him very easily. So we follow him. It starts off with him. No spoilers, but it follows him teaming up with Invincible to take out his boss, his bad guy called Machine Head. That's not really spoilers. We've already been told this is pretty much what the episode is. So that's essentially the main plot of this episode. Invincible and Titan team up to take out this, big crime boss. Think like the Kingpin from the Marvel universe. He's just runs this entire city. So they team up to do it, and a lot of very interesting things happen that I can't really go into without spoiling it. Suffice it to say, Titan is a very good, interesting character that I liked in the comic books, but they make him so much better in this freaking show. It's surprising. It's like, oh, I didn't think they could make him more interesting, but he is. There's a lot to like about this character and his dynamic and everything that happens throughout this episode with the big kind of, I guess you can call it a twist ending. I kind of knew it was coming. I read the comics, so it's hard to twist everything, but there was a lot of surprising things for people who have read the comic in this episode. So overall, great episode. 10 out of 10. Loved it. Just fantastic. Just fantastic. So I want to talk spoilers now because that's where the real meat is. So if you haven't watched it, 1, 2, 3, spoilers, you've been warned. Go watch the episode or go read the comics. The comics are amazing. Go read the comics. So, like I said, the main plot of this episode is Titan and Invincible taking down Machine Head. So it starts off with Titan taking down these, drug dealers in, I guess, a portion of Machine Head's territory, and he pretty much kills just about all of them except for one person. And he gives this one person a warning. It's like, hey, they'll be freaking dealing in Machine Head's territory. So, right off, you really see that this guy is really dangerous and good at what he does. He takes out all these people. And very interestingly, it's not like his stone stuff is, indestructible. It could come off and he has to regrow it. So it really gives him this cool dynamic because he gets shot up a bunch of times, but he has to freaking duck behind something to grow back his armor, which is very cool and interesting. In the comic it was semi-similar, but it wasn't presented as well because, animation could just show it grow back really cool. So then we get a montage. We get a lot of time in this episode. We get a montage of him doing a bunch of evil things, but also kind of being an okay person. Like he burns down this building, apartment building, and there's a bunch of people outside just like yelling at him. He's like, why are you doing this? We never did anything to you. And he walks up to one of them like he's gonna like punch him out or murder him or something, and he gives them all money, and he's like, hey, you can find help over here or whatever. And then there's a scene where he's holding a person over a building, shaking him down for money. And he takes the guy's wallet and he sees he has a kid, and so he doesn't drop him. He's like, "You have 2 days to bring me the money." And there's a scene where he robs this science center or whatever, so a microchip that he gives to Machine Head. And he warns the security guards. He's like, "You can shoot me and fight me, and you guys can die for minimum wage, or you can just shoot up in the air and say that you try to stop me, and we can be on our way." So he gives them the option, which they take that option to shoot up in the air, and he spares them all. So it kind of shows you that he's not really like this bad person. And later we get a scene of him with his family. He has a daughter who I guess has some medical issues, and it's why he is working for Machine Head, because he borrowed money for him. So now, Machine Head owns him essentially until he pays him back. And he does pay him back at the end, like in the beginning of this episode, but Machine Head is like, "You're just too good at your job, man. I can't let you go. You're mine. You're mine for life." So he's kind of stuck, and this is why he goes to ask Invincible for help, because he's just like, "I'm never gonna get out from under this guy, because he's always just gonna keep me around. So this is bullshit." But let's move on a little bit from Titan. So Amber and Mark, they've been dating for a few months. It's been like 3 months since Mark became invincible, and I guess since he started dating Amber. And they're having issues because Mark is invincible and she doesn't know it. So he's constantly going around fighting crime and saving the world and all kinds of things. So he's constantly late to do things with her. So it's really hurting their relationship. I'm really loving this aspect of, Mark and Amber. They had something similar like this in the comic where, she's just like, "You're always late. What are you doing? You're never on time, blah, 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 blah." But you see a lot more of it. Like, he has dinner, or he's supposed to have dinner with her and her mom, and he's like 2 hours late, and she's just very upset, understandably. And she kind of goes off on him, and she's like, "I don't know what to do. I'm about to break up with you because I can't anymore. I can't be in a bad relationship. I've done it before. You're not a bad person, but you're constantly late and making up these excuses that feel like lies. But then you do something good, like bring me my favorite sushi or write me a letter and put it in my locker." So she's like, "I'm very conflicted because I do care about you, but you just make it hard." So that's one of the crux of this episode, Mark and Amber's relationship, and we see a little bit more. We even get an Amber and Eve, which we get a lot more Eve this episode than the last episode. Eve is struggling with what she wants to do. Last time we saw her, she quit. The T-Team was disbanded, and she didn't want to join the Guardians. So she's kind of like, "I don't even know if I want to be a superhero. I don't know what to do." And she's kind of learning from Amber. And if you read the comics, Eve kind of becomes a humanitarian. And I like that in this show, they make Amber the catalyst, where she's like, "Oh, I volunteer," and everything like that. So Eve goes to volunteer with Amber this episode, and you can tell she likes it. So you really get to tell that, like in the comics, this is going to be something that she does. She's like, I love it. So she goes to help people around the world for powers, because she can essentially create anything with her powers. Recreate atoms and everything. Very kind of powerful in some ways. Very interesting powers. But so that's kind of Eve and Amber for the most part. I get back to then we have Nolan and Debbie. Debbie is still suspicious of Nolan, Omni-Man, but she finds Damien Darkblood's notebook that I guess he left in the last episode in their room, and she starts reading through the notebook, and she sees all these things, and specifically, the costume, DNA on the costume or whatever, because I think it's the second episode. Omni-Man gets really mad when he gets out of the hospital. He's like, "Give me back my costume. That's my property." Obviously he knows there's going to be a bunch of DNA all over it. Not that it really matters. He was surrounded by a bunch of dead bodies, so if there's blood on it, kind of like, whatever. At least that's the way I think of it. But, of course, they've already checked it for DNA. They already know he's done it. I think that's probably one of the reasons. But Debbie still she's like, "Oh, what if they didn't test it?" So she starts looking for the costume and lying to, Nolan to try to find this costume. And by the end of the episode, she finds it. So, this is going to build up to something bigger. And if you read the comics, you know exactly what's going to happen. So Robot is one of the other big things. Robot and the Mauler twins. We finally see that the Mauler twins are back. The clone that was started to get created, I think, last episode is complete. So now there's two Mauler twins, and they're like, I'm the clone. No, you're the clone. I'm not the clone. They're fighting banter. I love that. But Robot goes there, and he's just like, they start fighting, but he stops. He's like, hey, I just need your expertise at creating essentially clones. He brings out that vial of Rex that he took, and he shows it to him. He's like, hey, help us create clones. So that's a lot of the mini stuff. We get some stuff with the Guardians not working together. Very interesting stuff that comes into play later in the episode. But this video is already dragging, so... okay, let's go back to Invincible and Titan. So Invincible and Titan go to fight Machine Head. But Machine Head, expected it because of that chip that Titan gave him. Allows him to see, possibilities in the future and everything. And Invincible is like, it doesn't matter. We're out of your league. I'm Invincible. He's Titan. There's nothing you can do to beat us. And Isotope, the guy who teleports Machine Head around, is not there. Machine Head's just like, I knew you guys were going to come, and yeah, you are right. You guys are out of my league, but I'm rich. I got money. So all of a sudden he, teleports in, I think 5 people. It's Battle Beast, fucking Battle Beast, Magmaniac, Tether Tyrants, Furnace, I think is his name, that big robot who, looks like a furnace. And I can never remember the electric guy's name. It's something weird, like something Russian, I think, because he is Russian. So they start fighting Titan and Invincible, and then you start working on them. Like, they just no match. There's too many of them, and Battle Beast is fucking amazing. He just jacks up Mark, no problem. But then the Guardians of the Globe show up, and they start fighting, and they also get their ass kicked. So it gets so bad that Mark is almost killed, and then Black Samson, his suit gets jacked up and destroyed, and then he tries to attack Battle Beast without it, because he used to have powers, so he's kind of like just goes for it, and his hand gets completely squished, and then I'm surprised he's still alive, because he gets just destroyed. And then Battle Beast destroys Monster Girl, just like cutting off the skin of her face, so you can see the skull. It's crazy. So the rest of the Guardians finally, because one of the things they talked about earlier is that they weren't really working as a team, they finally come together as a team, at least the ones that are still able to walk around, and they start fighting everyone, and they pretty much beat them all, and Battle Beast is just like, you guys are not worth my time, I already beat up your strongest members. He's like, and there's no victory in squashing ass, so he just teleports away. So they get lucky in that end, and they end up beating all the bad guys, just honestly barely. If Battle Beast would have stayed, they would have been done. But they beat him, and then the episode kind of ends with Eve and Amber are volunteer at this food kitchen, and Eve gets a phone call, I'm assuming from Rex, letting her know that, hey, shit went down, and a lot of her members are hurt, including Mark. And Amber's just like, who was that? Because Eve's just like, I gotta go. And Amber's like, who was that? What's wrong? She's like, is it Mark? And she's like, it's hard to love someone back who you think doesn't love you, but she's like, Mark loves you, and if he could be here because he was supposed to be there to help him, he would be here. This like great moment. It's just like she doesn't know everything Mark is doing and going through, so of course it's hard for her because she's being lied to. She doesn't know the truth, but I feel like she might learn the next episode. If not the next episode, definitely the next season. I don't know how long they're gonna build up the whole Mark lying thing, but he's gonna show up all beat up with broken leg and everything like that, so he's gonna have to tell her. So that's essentially the end of the fight and the end of the episode. The big, I guess, like a twist I mentioned it is that Titan leaves at the end of the fight, and he comes back to Machine Head's tower with a suit and everything, and he essentially becomes the new crime boss of Machine Head's empire. And Isotope, Machine Head's right hand man, is like, oh, how'd you lie to this kid, telling him you're gonna do good or whatever? And he's just like, not really. He's like, a lot of things are gonna change for poor people and stuff like that, and I'm really gonna help them. But he's like, I also got an empire to run or something like that, and more or less. So he becomes the new crime boss. He used Invincible to freaking take out Machine Head so he can, fill in that power vacuum. Which, like I said, if you read the comics, you knew it was coming. Shoot, how does the episode end? So when Mark was beat up and they come to save him, they take some of his blood, and it ends with them does America, the fucking government, trying to experiment to find a way to destroy the Viltrumites. But they're like, it's almost indestructible. There's no, like, his blood isn't getting damaged or any kind of way. So he's like, they're like, I don't know what we're gonna do. So that's the end of the episode. Let me talk about this little quick point, and then I'm just gonna end it because, like I said, I'm already running long. So Mark and Omni-Man, we get a lot of more of them. You know, Omni-Man training Invincible to be a superhero. He's constantly calling him. He's like, "Oh, I'm fighting the elephant. Come over here. I think it'll be good practice for you." He teaches him to stop a meteor. He teaches him how to get, you know, evidence out of a bad guy. Like they're super high up in the sky, and he's doing the Batman thing where he's holding him upside down. He's like, "Tell me all you know," and the guy's like, "I'm not gonna talk." He's like, "He's never gonna give you that information if you don't, you know." He doesn't actually believe you're gonna drop him. He's like, "I'm not gonna drop him," and Omni-Man just drops him. And he's like, He's like, nah, he'll tell you everything you want to know. A very hilarious bit. And then Mark's like, are you going to get him? And Omni-Man's like, in a second. So great. But Omni-Man warned Invincible about Titan. He's like, it's going to be a big mistake if you help this guy. He's not a good guy, and he's probably using you. And Mark argues back that he's like, I can tell when someone is trying to use me, you know. And there's so many great stuff in this episode. And that fight leads to Debbie and Omni-Man later arguing. She's like, when you got to this planet, I'm the one who taught you to be a hero and everything, and now you're questioning me when I give advice to my son. He's like, you think I can't teach him to be a hero like I taught you to be a hero? Because she's like, when you got to this planet, you didn't know anything about it. You didn't know what was good or anything. And she's like, I'm the one who taught you. Because, like, she's like, yeah, Mark, go help this guy. And Nolan's like, no, don't do that. It's a mistake, which clearly he was right. He even shows up during the fight where Invincible is getting jacked up and just is watching him get beat up and doesn't do anything about it, which is crazy. I love it. It's like a tough Viltrumite moment where he's like, he's got to learn. And of course, it's probably going to be hard on him because he's been on Earth so long, but it's a great moment. So overall, like I said, great episode. I would love to keep talking about this, but video's already big. I already said that so many times. I like to keep it within 10 minutes and like way over 10 minutes. So, great episode. 10 out of 10, like I said, just so good. So many good moments. Like, the more I talk about it, the more it just pops up in my head. So, that's it. What did you guys think of the episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? There's no way you hated it. If you hated it, like, I don't even know what to say. No, but thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will catch you in the next one. See you later, comic book fans. Peace.